Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
Hi guys, happy Friday again. It's 68 weeks for the silver, which means you guys have been with me for a long time. And also, just to reiterate how long we've been doing this, today is the second year anniversary of Jamal Khashoggi's death. Right, that kind of blows your mind because we covered that. From the we don't know what happened to we're figuring out what happened to here's what happened. That was all brought to you by us and many other sources, but definitely us here. So
Yeah.
I
But
guess
we didn't bring it up for like another month from now because we didn't start till November, right?
I'm not sure. I would have to go back and look at our file. I know we wanted to be thorough on the information we brought.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means waiting instead of getting things wrong that we would have to correct. So
They haven't really had to retract much or anything.
no, it hasn't. The only person or channel that brought it up sufficiently was Democracy Now! And they even brought on kind of like a very, very short mini documentary about what was leading up to it, his life when he lived in the Saudis, when he lived in Saudi Arabia, and how his Twitter account got completely shut down in Saudi Arabia, and he was told that he was no longer able to speak in that country, and he gathered himself and his belongings and left his family and his wife back there. It was his only way to get to freedom. And then he was a journalist for the Washington Post, which had to just completely feel like the prince of Saudi Arabia's skin was being, plied off with a hot fork, because there is none of that allowed. There is no dissent. And we know that for a fact. There isn't journalism in Saudi Arabia. Saudi prince's family owns all of the media, all of the newspapers, and the ones who didn't follow protocol no longer exist. So he did make it out. The only unfortunate facts about that is he fell in love and wanted to get married, and he had to travel to an embassy to get his papers for that marriage. And in that embassy, he was captured and dismembered and removed of. So it's been 2 years today. I just thought that was relevant, being that today is the day that we lost a journalist at the hands of a foreign government. And it seems like we haven't gotten any better. We've only slidden worse since then. So a little
it's
few seconds of silence for the loss of a journalist. Whether you liked him or not, it doesn't matter. Free speech is a pillar of our government and our founding papers, founding documents. So so sorry, Mr. Khashoggi, and your family. You're not out of our minds and out of our hearts. That's for sure. And besides that, we have tons of good news for you.
Oh yeah. Let's move on to a brighter note. No, but though, I mean, real quick, it's that story still brought up. Jamal Khashoggi still brought up, relatively often, especially for a dead guy who that didn't get a lot of attention beforehand. Like I feel, this is really, it really is something that it happened and nothing really came of it except the public complaining about it and showing that they care about it.
Yeah, the
a lot.
outcry was
Yeah,
the outcry was phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah. And I
regular
don't,
people like us, we don't like that. And it
right,
shows that our government is like, I mean, I know it kind of looks icky, but Saudi Arabia buys billions of dollars of weapons from us, so we can't turn that down.
right.
That's the
Um,
sum.
yeah, and I want to make clear that to everyone listening, um, I don't mean that in any demeaning way. That like it bothered us, but no, that was it. That's that's disappointing that that's how it is, right? It's disappointing that like, well, we give a shit, but because we give a shit, that doesn't mean our government's going to do anything about it.
Nope.
Because there really was quite a large public outcry, and it's still mentioned often, and how the United States really dropped the ball on that one, because it was a United States. Um, was he a citizen,
No,
or
he
he
was
was a
not a
resident?
citizen. He was
He
a
was a
resident,
resident,
but he
right?
was seeking asylum from definitely being what happened to him. That's what he was
Hmm.
fleeing. And
Yeah,
it happened to him anyway because I guess to the people in power, he was just another Middle Eastern guy who was pretending to be something here in America. And I just detest that. To me, a human is a human is a human, and a human that escapes absolute torture and death to live a better life and be accepted into the Washington Post as a journalist. I mean, I just have to kind of step aside and look at it from, not that I have a dictator bone in my body, but from the education that I have about dictators. This is exactly something they would do. He was speaking ill of the regime there. I mean, just take, for instance, all the women who were activists who wanted to drive. Now, uh, King Salman traveled to the USA, as I remember us talking about it. We threw out red carpets for everything he did. He met with Bill Gates and all of the top leaders, and he was known as the reformer here in the States. It was a spin job because when he got back, the women who were the activists to get that rolling all got put in prison. Now, women are able to drive now, but the ones who proposed it are in prison, just showing me that the King bin Salman said that's fine that you have ideas, but they're not respected here. And if they're not my ideas, then you're in trouble. It has to come from me only. Only I can do these things, which is very, very fascist. uh, and I guess
yes,
that's one of our best friends as a government here.
yeah, it is. It really is. They're real good trading buddies for us.
Mm. Makes me a little bit Ralphie.
Just a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, we should have done better by his family afterwards, but instead we had a debate on whether his life matters to America because he wasn't a citizen, he was a
Oh,
resident, and
disgusting.
that's really disappointing. It's just like, okay, like it doesn't matter if he was a resident at all.
Hmm.
Like someone was murdered. Like, do we just not? Okay, yeah, we don't care about that because America commits how many war crime murders anyways a year?
I
Um,
am going to share a link that will explain not only what I'm talking about, but the history of Jamal and how he became the activist that he became. You know, if you know anything about him, he lived in Saudi Arabia. He was a journalist for them before they started cracking down. And when he started seeing things that he didn't like, he wasn't going to just co-sign them. He's a journalist, so he went against them. And that was the beginning of him looking for a way out. I mean, they immediately shut down his Twitter. For 6 months, he wasn't allowed to write anything. And he wasn't going to be able to leave Saudi with his wife and his children. And since then, King Bil Salman has taken his family under their wing. He sent Jamal pictures of the king with his arm around his son. How ominous is that? Listen, watch yourself. We have your children. So I'm going to put that in the link because I feel like it's very important. It's not that long and it will give you more information than I can give you now and maybe help open your eyes to the way that the system works for people who want, who need to tell the truth, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whether it hurts them personally, it doesn't matter. They just want what is true to be in the news.
Yep.
All right, there it is.
Well, in other news, Trump has the Rona.
Sorry.
You laughed. That's not funny, Christy.
It was more of an audible.
It is kind of funny, Christy.
I just, if I was running around or you were running around having all these rallies, shaking hands, nobody would be surprised if I came down with the coronavirus.
Well, if you're hanging out with Hope Hicks, but you're bound to catch something, right?
Boom, boom. Daniels, and whoever else he has cheated on his wife with. Which
has he cheated on his wife with Hope Hicks?
I will be not surprised if that list ever comes out and she's or Kellyanne Conway, honestly. I mean, something's going on there. Besides bootlicking.
No comment. Besides bootlicking.
That's foreplay in the White House.
He really likes that bootlicking, though.
He does. He does. Ugh.
Ooh, just a little higher. Make little circles with your tongue. All right, I'm done. Sorry, guys.
Smitty is in our chat who hasn't been able to be there because he is a working man in America. And I appreciate you coming tonight, Smitty. You darling. Always appreciate when Smitty gives up some of his own time to hang out with us political nerds.
What else do you want to do on a Friday night?
Obviously. What else is there?
Nothing. This is all there is. Okay.
Right.
Do we want to dive into it? Do we want to do the thing? Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it.
I will lead you in here. So this past Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Mm-hmm. Oh, sheesh. I'm losing track of my days. We had, excuse me, the first presidential debate between Biden and Trump, and it was ... question mark. It was. A few people I've asked, so what did you think of it? It wasn't a debate. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was a dumpster fire. I'm like, yeah, it was that. I know they called it a debate, but I don't know if it really classifies as a debate. It sounded like Thanksgiving dinner between your two oldest uncles. And just honestly, I would have liked it better if there was more gravy.
Yeah, pass the potatoes and shut up, you clown.
Yeah, you should definitely try these potatoes. They are wonderful. They're so light and fluffy. No, don't try those potatoes. They probably have bleach in them.
And Antifa brought them.
And Antifa. Bad boys,
Uh,
stand by, hold the gravy.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, I can go into my opinion because I don't often do just my opinion piece. I like to stick to just the facts. However, I watched that debate twice and every analysis I could think of. I also read the back and forth so I could get it without their whatever it is they speak through. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So, my opinion through a humanist lens.
Yes.
I was barely able to hear a full sentence by Vice President Joe Biden because all of Trump's interruptions and insults.
128?
It was 100, yeah, 127, I believe.
Ooh, I was one off.
You might have been 128. They just didn't count one because it was politically okay. Nothing you would say to your grandmother, but it's politically okay, of course. Um, okay, so, because of Trump's interruptions and insults, nor from the moderator, Chris Wallace, all because of Trump's incessant interruptions and nonstop insults and lies. Okay, there's Trump's absolute refusal to denounce white supremacy groups, the same exact groups that our very own intelligence agencies and our FBI, grain of salt, have deemed the most dangerous groups to this country and have for multiple years. This isn't something new. White supremacy groups have caused the most violence, the most bullying, and the most fear and terrorism. Trump even went as far as to not answer Wallace's question as to instead of answering, he brought up Black Lives Matter and Antifa and fascist groups to which there is zero similarities. And I did send Mac a screen share about that particular, which I looked up, and
I did. Is this the time?
this is the time.
This is my time to shine. All right, I got this. I'm going to make
Shine
this
it up.
flawless. You guys aren't even going to realize that you planned this. It's just going to boom. Look
Yes.
at that.
So, fact check left wing violence in the United States. A new database by the Center for Strategic and International Studies analyzed nearly 900 politically motivated plots and attacks in the USA. Victims killed in anti fascist attacks since 1994. Zero from Antifa. Victims killed in left wing violence since 2010. 21. Remember that softball when there were candidates and Congress people playing? That's involved in that one. Victims killed in jihadist attacks since 2010. 95. Victims killed in right wing violence since 2010. Well, that's 117. Victims killed in right wing violence since 1994. 329. So, the violence that this current administration is claiming is tearing this country apart does not exist. There is a quote for you from our very own Department of Homeland Security, and it goes, quote, white supremacists and extremists will remain the most persistent and lethal threat, end quote, in the United States of America. Oh, we really got to see who they really are as humans during this first debate, I felt. So take all the rhetoric and claims and promises and hyperbole and blah, blah, blah. Take all that away and let's just look as humans. If I was just meeting these two guys for the first time on the stage as a humanist, Biden talking about Beau Biden, his son, that passed away as a veteran hero to cancer. As a veteran, Trump interrupted to talk about Hunter, not Beau. I know, it's so bad. And many other nonsensical claims that cannot be backed up by any evidence. Only far right wing propaganda tabloid type news sources. To me, at this point, Trump revealed exactly who he is. Not as if we here at LEAH didn't already know exactly who he is at his very core. I feel that we all understand he's a cruel bully, a narcissistic, looking out for nobody but himself. And, in my opinion, Biden revealed who he is as a human being as well. And through my humanist lens, I feel that, and you guys know I am not an adamant Biden supporter. Biden, though, does understand the plight of loss, losing his wife and his daughter and his two baby boys, being in the hospital with broken hips and broken legs, and accepting the nominee at the same time they did the swear in order at the hospital where his two little boys needed him most. And at the very time when 200,000 plus families are grieving a loved one or more, all lost to COVID 19. And many are struggling to recover from this virus if they can recover at all and not lose anything and everything. And so many American families are facing eviction, homelessness, job loss, and crippling medical debt, if not debt in general. It may not have been empathy and progressiveness that we here at LEAH would love to see, but Trump has set the gosh darn bar so stinking low, Biden takes this one. Trump's tax returns. Trump still clings on to how he's paid millions and millions in taxes in the years 2016 and 2017, where he actually only paid $750 each those 2 years, in 2016 when he became president and 2017 also. I don't know if he felt like there was a microscope on him and he needed to pay something. Who knows? We'll know in years to come, I'm sure. Out of the last 15 years, President Trump's tax returns show that 10 of those 15 years he paid absolutely zero in income tax. Trump has repeatedly claimed that he's about to release all of his tax returns. And how many times have we heard him say that? I say TikTok, motherfucking TikTok is what I say. He's the only one, the only president in modern times at all who has not released those. Biden's already released those. And like I said, I'm not, an overzealous Biden, zealous Biden fan. I just think he did what is proper, what is expected of him. The citizens of this nation are still waiting for Mr. Trump. If you are right, Trump, and you have different tax returns than the rest of us have seen and read, now is the gosh darn time to correct the fake news media. His words only. Appointing judges. When asked about these judges' records, all Trump could give us is hyperbole and nonsensical, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, it was all about himself. He can never take a question about something else without bringing it around to himself or just starting with himself. Trump, there has never been a president who has done more than I've done in the period of 3.5 years, is what he says. In spite the impeachment hoax, he also says, There's never been an administration that has done what I've done. He claims the greatest economy in history, greatest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. And by the way, there was unity about to happen under Trump, apparently, before COVID. Trump has filled the federal courts. He's filled 202 federal judges so far, and that should alarm anyone. I just, a little bit crazy. Blaming Biden for leaving the White House without filling those federal judge seats to me is a slam in the face, and it's playing this fucked up game because claiming that Obama and Biden left Trump 128 empty seats to fill is rubbish. It's rubbish. Also stating that, quote, when you leave office, you don't leave any open judge's seat. Now, I do and don't agree with that. I do agree with that not one president, well, it's not in the best interest of any American president or any president anywhere to leave so many vacant federal judges' seats. However, if we can just remember back to 2014, 2013, 2016, Mitch McConnell made it his jam to block for over 400 days any federal justice, whether it be the Supreme Court justice with Merrick Garland or anyone else. They filibustered all of it or completely used the American people should be able to choose the next president who is elected should be able to fill those seats. So, also stating that when you leave office, you don't leave any judge seats open, so we took advantage of that. What Trump failed to mention was that Mitch McConnell refused to confirm any of Obama's nominees, especially Obama's Supreme Court pick, Merrick Garland. But once Trump was elected, McConnell changed the Senate rules back again to push through any Trump picks. And so the Republican held Senate can ram through as many of Trump's picks as possible. And we have the COVID-19 response. Once again, the leader of the free world refuses to take any responsibility. And those were his words. Do you take any responsibility? And he said, no. Telling Biden that if it were handled by him, millions and millions more would have died already. He blamed the entire epidemic on China and China's negligence, which, just open your mind a little bit. Every single nation on this planet is suffering from this. So did China do this to all of them? Or is it just the factual information that worldwide pandemics or epidemics go worldwide and it wouldn't have mattered where it started? 12,500 Americans died from the H1N1, aka the swine flu, under Obama Biden. They also were able to test as many people and also follow those testing. So if someone had posted or tested positive, they were able to make sure that they quarantined. They were able to make sure that they followed up. And contact tracing. Every other modern country does this. That's why Sweden, who has never had to shut down, which I hear a lot of right-wing talking points say, well, Sweden never had to. You're right, they didn't. What they did do was mandatory masks and mandatory testing, and then tracking. They were able to trace anyone who tested positive and follow through with that individual or their family to make sure that they had everything they needed and that they were staying alone and doing what you needed to do to take care of your fellow brothers and sisters and fellow countrymen and women of that nation. Compared to the 200,011 deaths and counting under Trump and Pence administration, I'd say this is a massive failure. Lies, lies, and more lies served on a bed of conspiracy theories is what Trump gave us during this debate. Trump made Biden speak to the right of him, and that really infuriated me. Um, Trump pushed so hard on the Green New Deal, not that the Green New Deal is a part of Biden's vocabulary or part of anything Biden has planned to do. So during the debate, live nationally, he was able and willing to say that I, Biden, do not sign up for the Green New Deal. I sign up for the Biden deal. Ugh. Single payer health care. Trump was able to make Biden speak to the right of Trump, even though we all know, I mean, it's just a sham at this point. It would have been nice to see Biden say, "You're right. I do want a single payer." And he did a little bit. It would be for all of the recipients who do not make enough to afford health care for their families. They would be enrolled in the single payer. Now, you can take that and look up what conservative pundits and talking heads and people who actually hold some clout in the Republican Party, they were all able to say that if Biden implements single payer as an option, that it will completely annihilate private insurance. And I do have to say that if single option or single payer option was an option for people and they saw how much cheaper it was and how much it encompasses, because it would be one network, which means your doctor's in your network. I think that, yeah, he's probably right. It would slowly stop private insurance companies from, you know, holding that over people's head. It wouldn't be the option that made the best sense for most families, whether they're upper, middle, or lower middle class, or the working poor. Yes, Mac.
Just as you're making the point that people would see that it's cheaper, right? And it encompasses more things. So if we had that public option, the more people who would get on it to pay for it, the more the cost would go down.
Yes.
Right. And then vice versa would happen with the private companies because they would be losing that. So they would have to bring their profits up to keep their numbers up because capitalism. So it really would over time. I would guess 90% of people would knowingly like freely like just move over to the public option because that's the one that's getting cheaper. It does encompass more, and the old way's just dying. Really, you would have some like hardcore people who are like super libertarian, don't want the government to control it, who would just stick to their guns, pay more because we have to protect small businesses. I mean, big. I mean, government business.
Yeah.
Right? However, they have to like trip over the words to say it.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you're making good points. I just wanted to reiterate. So
Yes. And then there's only a couple more where Trump's rhetoric kind of steered Biden into hitting Trump from the right, which no one ever wants to see, is more money to the military. You know, there was this COVID bill that was written in the House, and in that COVID bill was more money to the police, more money to the military, and the Republicans. I mean, it was bipartisan, split right down the middle. They said that there's no reason these things should be in the COVID, so we're not going to sign it. We're not even going to look at it. So we have Republicans on record saying they don't want to fund more money to the police. They don't want to fund more money to the military. As long as it helps regular people too, they're not with it. Police and Biden also, same as Trump, take big, dark money for their campaigns. I also want to state vote by mail. Lies trump up nearly every lies. Trump brought up nearly every conspiracy theory on mail-in voting and voter fraud. Trump. They're sending thousands and thousands of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. Ballots are found in creeks. Ballots have been found with the name Trump on them. Ballots have been found with Trump's name on them in waste paper baskets. They are being sent all over the place. They sent out 2 in a Democratic area. 2. They sent out 1,000 ballots in another area where everyone received 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like no one has ever seen. He finished that with, and I just, blah. Let's see. This goes back here. Okay. And here's the truth. The Right Wing Heritage Foundation, which I'm sure you guys are aware since you guys are here, is a far right think tank. So the Right Wing Heritage Foundation did a 36-year time frame / study, and they found that 1,285 cases of voter fraud involving mail-in ballots out of nearly 2 billion with a B votes counted. This, my friends, is a rate of, get it, 0.0000007%, almost non-existent. And all of those ballots caught were dismissed and or investigated, and the people who were participating in those ballots were charged when necessary. Trump and his family, along with over 24 Trump officials, have all voted by mail, and most of their lives. Trump does know that he cannot win on his merits, nor on his ideas, so he's sowing distrust about mail-in voting so that he and he alone can contest the count and claim the election. Trump will claim that his election is legitimate if he wins, and he will claim that it is illegitimate if he loses. And I want to say that Trump's own Homeland Security director and the FBI director says that there is, you can go to their website, and don't believe me, definitely look for yourselves. And so this is the security director and the FBI director says, quote, there is zero evidence at all that the mail-in ballots are a source of fraud, nor are they being manipulated for cheating. So I say show up and vote. Vote by mail. I don't care. Just vote. Biden's response to Trump's voting fear-mongering. This man says, telling the people of this nation, vote. So one is saying, don't do it, it's fraudulent. Sounds a little fascist. And the other one is saying, don't listen to any of that, just vote. Your vote matters, or they wouldn't be able to take it away from you. They wouldn't be so willing to set up voter suppression or to send Proud Boys and the like to polling stations with guns and just being there to scare people. Also telling viewers that they will determine the outcome of this election. Do not be bullied by Trump's right-wing militia groups, the ones Trump has begged to watch the polling stations. Hold your head up with pride and do your civil duty. It's not 1965 anymore. We can do this. I feel like, no, it's not 1965, but these are the exact same maneuvers that were done to stop people from feeling confident enough to show up at ballots to vote. And whether you vote by mail or whether you fill out your ballot at home by mail and then take it and drop it off on the day, I just do it. Just vote. I don't care who you vote for. Fill it all in. Do your homework. If you live in Florida and you would like to know or get some answers about some of the people that are on there, I will never tell you how to vote, but I can show you how to look up appropriately the names on your ballot and be able to weigh out the two that are running against each other. I have no problem doing that for any of you. And that's me not telling you how to vote, but teaching you how to investigate and how to do the research and then choose yourself, because I believe in the American people. As much ignorance as I know, as much hatred as I know, I do believe at the core of every person is to do the right thing. And that's not admitting, I do admit there are some people who would do the wrong thing every chance they get because they're badass. I'm not counting about them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about normal people who either in the future want to have kids or right now have kids or even grandparents and they want the best future for the children and their family. That's who I'm reaching out to. Vote, vote, vote. And voting is not November 8th. I've seen that meme and that's fucking gross. It's not right. Be ready to vote and vote early. And I vote by mail. I'm disabled. It's easier. I voted by mail for well over a decade. It's so much easier for me. We've never had any problems here in Florida as far as voting by mail goes. We've never had any problems until this administration. So that's my spiel on it. I could have gone on and on. There were a few things Biden did that I was like, oh my gosh, grow a vagina. But that's only because balls are so sensitive and, vaginas stretch and have babies and stuff. So obviously they're stronger.
Yeah, they could take a pounding.
They can. Yeah, a few in a day. Yeah.
True that. Amen.
True that.
I mean, hi, men.
Hi, men.
Hi, men. All right. I almost missed that one completely. Well, I don't want to redo anything you just did, but I would like to just do a brief overview because I took notes during the debate. So do you mind if I also do a quick rundown of it? So you kind of had your opinion overall. I'm actually just gonna go through the notes as I have them, and I just took them in order. I didn't re-categorize anything, and just kind of rant where they pissed me off. Just real quick because that's how I cope with this. Okay, before the debate even started. Excuse me, I was watching ABC, and they had announced that Biden wants to focus on the issues like tax returns, business history, and healthcare during COVID. One of those is a major issue really bothering the American people. His tax returns are important. We wanted those for a long time. It is really just something to slap him in the face with. That's not a real political issue. So that annoyed me. His business history, also something we could slap him in the face with. Look, we knew this before he became president. Lay off. Just act like it's common knowledge now. Stop acting like we're surprised every time we hear about his tax returns or his business transactions. fuck over it. Like, this has been happening for like 4 years. I'm not saying it's like cool. It's not. It's just like, stop acting surprised. Stop acting like these are the issues we got to focus on every day, because they're not. And there's so much more happening, but this is all that they want us to focus on. And when they said Biden wants to focus on the issues like tax returns, like business history, and healthcare during COVID, I'm like, oh yeah, that one too, because that might be important. Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit, and I don't know why. So next, let's see. So the first question was about Amy Coney Barrett, the judge that Trump wants to appoint as a justice, and I just have a little bit of his response here, and it was, we won the election, we have the Senate. He may push her in after the election, but they have the right to choose her, and the Democrats would do it. And like, I mean, maybe they would if they could, but they didn't last time, right? So, and also to that, hold on, let me finish this here. Biden's response was, we should wait so those who haven't voted yet have the right to choose who should replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Amy seems like a good person, though she wrote that the ACA might be unconstitutional. Also women's rights. I don't remember why I typed that. Because she may help overturn Roe v. Wade. Right. So that's so that's obviously a big deal. And if they deemed the ACA as unconstitutional, that would kick 180 million people off of healthcare.
Yeah, a lot.
180 million people.
And that's not it. If you want to go through her court records, there has never been a case that came before her judgism, her judgy that was Corporation X versus people or group of people, that she never chose the people over the corporation. She's always chose the corporation over the people, no matter how good or bad the evidence was. It's corporate all the way. And she did and was part of the group of people that helped push Citizens United through. So think about that. If we get her in there, it is going to be nearly impossible to get rid of Citizens United. And I'll reiterate, Citizens United means that money is free speech and corporations are people.
Yeah, and that's disgusting. So
she might be worse than Corn Pop, and we all know he was a bad dude.
He was a bad dude. That's like when we used to leave our razor blades and like the puddles on barrels so they get all rusty. We give each other tetanus when we fight each other. All right. Trump's other rebuttal to that is that he was elected for 4 years, not 3, which is just so hypocritical, right? To Obama picking a justice on his 4th year. But they don't give a shit. And we know that, and we shouldn't act surprised. Trump had mentioned something about the healthcare and the ACA. And Biden came back. Oh, he had mentioned how it's how he's just like Bernie and he wants to push this like socialist agenda, and they want to get rid of private health care, and Biden comes back and says that him and his ideas on health care beat his other 23 colleagues in the primaries, and I'm not a socialist. Which, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, but also, like, your ideas didn't win the primaries. Rigging the primaries won you the primaries. Um, Trump Trump hasn't or has never repealed Obamacare and replaced it with a comprehensive plan. What is the Trump healthcare plan? This was asked by the moderator, Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace. And I don't remember his response. I didn't I didn't type it out because it wasn't really a response. It's like, oh, we have a plan. It's a great plan. It's it's going to be so great, and there's going to be like protections for pre-existing conditions. Oh yeah, pre-existing conditions are great. Everyone wants one of those. And but we can't have the ACA because that's really bad for people, and we don't want fucking handouts. We can't just give everyone else something like that.
Yep, that's what it's about.
Yeah, and Biden. This one, surprisingly, maybe to some of you, really kind of pissed me off. I only put the first part of the quote here from Biden. He said that the ACA is only for those people who are so poor that they can't afford health care. That frustrates me. That's like it's only for the poorest of the poor, right? That's how he's making it sound. It's not.
Yeah,
that's not how they sold it in the first place.
Here in Florida, you need to make $12,000 a year or less. So if you make $14,000 or $13,000 a year, you don't qualify. Which I don't know anywhere in the state of Florida you can live for $13,000 a year. I just don't. It's a setup.
Right. It's pitiful. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a flat out lie. Just because there's a lot of people who are like covered by the ACA that can't afford healthcare, that doesn't mean everyone who can't afford healthcare is covered by the ACA. Right. That's just not how that fucking works. So that's a lie. And that's not how it was sold to the American people. It's like people like of middle class who would like this option, right? It was more sold like closer to like a public option, and it's not. And no, he just comes out and he just sells it as something. I don't want to say lower than he just. It's almost like he doesn't know what it is. And he doesn't know how to argue for it. And it's
no
hard
idea,
to tell.
No clue. No eye clue.
So
no, my mom had to join the Affordable Care. She had to. She has lupus and lost her insurance and needed to find the cheapest available, not really realizing that it was Obamacare because it was called the Affordable Care Act. She couldn't afford it. There's just no way she could afford the monthly payment for it, let alone, when it was time to have to pay. Let's say she had to go to the doctor and the bill at the doctor was, 980 and her deductible was 1,500. So she'd have to pay 1,500 and in order to get the insurance to cover it, or she could pay the 900 and something out of pocket and not even come close to that deductible for all the rest of the things that she's going to need. She is diagnosed with lupus. So she just was so disillusioned and pissed because to, as we know, many people, not just conservatives, it doesn't really go on their radar. They're not thinking about it. They don't vote on it. They don't really care. But it's not that they don't care about it. It's just that it doesn't really bother them personally until it does. And then when it does, that's when they're like, hey, this isn't right. We need to talk about this. And so there are a lot of people across this country who had the ACA, and their deductible was higher than any bill that they would have had to pay. So they still have to come out of pocket $600 when we know for a fact that the majority of Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency. So, how is that feasible? It's not. And I feel like no one gives a gosh darn. I feel like nothing's changed in the 4 years. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, so I don't want to get into conspiracy theories here, but
No,
but
just kidding.
Christy, are you ready for this?
I
You didn't
am.
expect this
I
one.
am. Let's do
All
it.
right. All right. So this is around this time I noticed, and then I pointed out and I typed it out because I kept the notes in the same order as I typed them. So I have a picture here that shows some of the subliminal messaging during the debate that maybe you missed, even though you watched it twice. All right, I was waiting for her to be done coughing and breathing right again. Are you healthy, Christy? Are you healthy? Are you good? Okay. All right, she's good. All right, so I noticed this, and they're just telling us, they're like just putting it, they're like out there, broadcasting it. Rig the people. It's right behind both of them. They're standing in the same spot, and right behind them, rig the people. That's the whole point of this debate. Sorry, you guys had to find out this way. So you're muted, Christy. I can't hear you.
I said, what other cues or clues? What other clues has Q left for us?
Right? They're gonna rig the people. They're gonna rig the election. All right. So I noticed that. I'm like, that is funny. I need to type that because I did forget until I got there. I'm like, what's that for? Oh yeah, rig the people. Rights of the people. But it looked like rig the people behind them like most of the night.
I like it.
So, all right. They talked about the unemployment rate, which is 8.4%. Looking at some statistics, anyways. I can't remember what employment rate that's called. But Trump said we've built the greatest economy in the world, and it's down right now because of the China plague, of which we took a drink. And Biden would close everything down again and destroy our country and economy. Biden said millionaires and billionaires have made out good during this. Those who lost their jobs are those who are on the front lines, which is, I was a little surprised he even pointed that part out. But yeah, that's true. That's fine. That was a decent response. Trump said people want their schools and their work back open, and for the most part they are, and that's mostly due to him. But I mean, we could have kept more things open if we had just mandated masks sooner and really enforced that now.
Right.
We probably could have done much better if we had just done other things. Like, we didn't have to close everything down. There's other things that we could have done. And when it was happening, even Christy and I were like, let's shut the whole fucking thing down. Like, we didn't know what else to do then. Like, us as just like not even journalists, just like, more or less, like just public people who like try to research the things the best that we can. We don't have the kind of info that the president of the United States gets. He had better info, right? Like we it's more okay if we're wrong than the person who's most informed in the country is wrong. Not that, like, I wish we had better information, and I wish we could have had a better opinion on, like, yes, just close everything down. Which, hey, I was glad to have a couple weeks off of work, but still, the point is,
Sweden didn't lock down anything at all, ever. However, they had mandatory testing and mandatory tracing. So if you came back with an inconclusive or positive test, you had to go quarantine for a minimum of 14 days, and someone would be by to check on you multiple times. And at the end of the 14 days, if you didn't have a fever, they're going to come back in one more day just to make sure. And then you get a letter from a doctor saying you can go back to work. However, that would be great here. I approve this. I think this is wonderful to take care of everyone. I'll go through that tiny inconvenience so that my entire nation of humans has the same protection that I would have. The good thing about what they did in Sweden is healthcare never ended. They all have healthcare. So they have childcare and healthcare that's taken care of. It's not something they have to worry about. They also get their entire paycheck that they would have got had they still been able to work, because their country designed their government as it should be. The government is put there by the citizens of the country to take care of the citizens of the country. It's like we all put into this so that we can have healthy roads, healthy schools, healthcare, because they have universal healthcare, universal education, just all of these wonderful things that I would want for my family. Well, they see their nation as their family, and I love that sentiment. I do too. So maybe we wouldn't have had to completely lock down except for that week when no one, a week or two when no one knew what was going on. But then go by data. If we could trace them, then everyone else can still go about their lives. They still had deaths there. They didn't have 211,000 deaths. Couple hundred, I think right under 1,000 for the whole nation and over the entire time. Yeah.
And from what I had heard, that, like, Sweden was one of the worst Nordic, like,
it is the worst in the Nordic countries. Absolutely. Yeah. But our corporate news always brings up Sweden because they didn't lock down. So they can't bring up Norway or Finland because they all locked down.
And then better numbers.
Iceland, Greenland, yes. They
Yeah.
locked down. But they
so
also...
we don't shut down, it works, but there's other things that also work.
When Americans hear of lockdown here, they think of financial hardship, not knowing how and when to get food, not having the gas to go get food, not being able to pay their doctor's appointments, or let alone their housing and their electric and their water and their... I mean, it's just too overwhelming. But in other countries, when you're told, listen, you have to, for the good of the country, they're still getting that check, whether they got it every 2 weeks or every week. They still get it.
Until sometime in 2021.
Yes.
Yeah, and
yes. They're saying, please stay home.
Yeah. Do you mind if I try to correct you, though, for just a second?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's only 80% of their paycheck. It's
yeah, which country, though?
I think it was Sweden. I'm pretty sure it was Sweden.
I believe that.
Okay. The one time I tried to correct
Christy. But they also all have healthcare, vision and dental.
Yeah, they
so have. I'll take 80% plus vision and dental and hearing and yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay. Then they talked about taxes. Not just Trump's taxes, but just taxes. Obama and Biden passed tax codes that allowed Trump to pay as little in taxes as he does. I thought that was an interesting, very interesting uh, rebuttal.
Yeah.
How little he paid in taxes. Like, he let me do it. That fucker right there.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay. And then Biden could only come back with, um, under my plan, no one making under $400,000 is going to have a tax increase.
Right.
It's kind of like small businesses that have under 500 employees are going to get this the stimulus.
Well,
Oh.
Stacy worked at a small business, a dental office, for between 8 and 10 years. She was there for a while, and it was the doctor and her husband and another doctor. Those are the three that work there. And then there are the nurses. There's one, two, three or dental assistants. And then there are two or three hygienists. So that's a small business. That's considered a small business. And they brought in 1.4 to 1.7, depending on the year, each year. Now, the dentist and her husband had a home, a beach home, a boat, all kinds, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And the other dentist, who was very green, he was very, very left. He wanted stem cell research for science back in like 87 and 88. There were two different people. So that 400,000 that they each got, splitting out of that million take home, because I'm sure the one that owned it got a little bit more. He was able to live just fine on that, and he never had a problem paying his taxes. He thought it was his civic duty. Him and his family fled the Nazis. So to be in a place where you could enjoy peaceful roads, schools, a weather system, radio channels that you could choose from, lots of entertainment, tons of things to do, and you could feel safe while doing them. He felt like paying those taxes was his contribution to being able to enjoy those things. However, he wanted to enjoy more and would not have a problem paying more, so that his children's children could enjoy those things and maybe even have more. The other half were, how can we nickel and dime, and would even take a class once a year. They'd travel out to Texas to take this class on how not to pay your employees that much. And so instead of every 2 weeks, they changed it so that it was twice a month, like military does. So instead of one or two extra paychecks a month, with it being every other week, twice a month you pay less, so they get to keep that little bit of money, even though they're going to pay it next week, in their account to help them make more. It's just that sick, twisted me. This is how to be a better capitalist, and how to rape your workers. They sick time, all of that was so limited. I think that there is two different Americas. I think there's two different justice systems. I think that there's a lot of shitty stuff going on. I do want to bring up, if anyone has seen the conversation between Melania Trump and her ex-best friend this past week, talk about all kinds of things.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yes. Yes, I read over maybe a paragraph, watched a few minutes of it, but I was too busy putting together all of my thoughts on the debate and other things. I have lots of notes from it. But I did, kind of dive into it, and yikes. I feel like her best friend kind of led her on. Like, when she'd say, Donald is not a bad guy, he really loves his family. And her friend would say, yes, I know. And I would be like, nah, bitch, You need to pack your shit and get out. Like,
Yeah.
as a real friend, you can stay here tonight. He's great.
Yeah.
But she's sneaky and conniving and part of that entire world where the more information she gets, the more money she'll get for it. Is that's just my initial opinion without looking any further into it. So I guess you can see how cynical I am about politics.
Yeah. I'm sure that's how it is though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please
I,
surprise me. Oh my
I,
gosh, Lila.
I haven't looked into that very much yet. I did hear a little bit of the recording
Baby.
today, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Here, you can speak so everyone can see the cat.
Look at this baby. Look at this baby Lala. Hmm. Her name is Delilah and she's a queen. You want to see how big she is?
She's a big queen. Look at that big fat kitty.
She's a big, beautiful kitty.
Yeah.
She's purring so hard. Oh, Delilah. Yes. I think she just comes up here for her song. And I'm sure most of you have heard it, but it's Hello, Delilah. What's it like to be a kitty? She just loves it. What's, what's it like to be a kitty? And dog and cat fight.
Yes. Love it.
Beanie got his ass whipped.
Uh, um, I'm gonna try to run through the rest of these notes real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Just kind of like spitfire the dumpster fire. They got to race in the country, like the racial divide, and Biden said we need equity. Equity is very important. He said equity twice instead of equality. He described the torch carriers in a Charlottesville with their bulging veins, and it was, yeah, that's the thing to happen. And like I know that's like what got you to run, quotations, but like again to me this is like a little bit old news. Like yeah, we like know this. Like there's it's not that it's not bad. It's just like you don't need to mention it as like the biggest worst thing that Trump caused because it's not quite. Um, Trump mentioned the 1991 crime bill, uh, and when Biden called black people super predators, also law and order. And then he tried to get Biden to just say the fucking words law and order, I guess.
Do you know that Biden did not say those words though?
No, he didn't.
No. Not never, not once, not even in his dreams. That's Hillary Clinton that said that. He
Oh, the
didn't
super
back
predator.
her. She was running. She was in Senate or way before.
Yeah,
She
you're
was
right.
It was during the crime bill, but he didn't say that. She did. I'm sure he said things
You're
that
right.
were just as gross.
Oh
But
yeah.
that is a quote from her. Trump mentioned a few things people said, and none of them were Biden.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Um, it was mentioned that Trump ended racial sensitivity training in police departments and in military training.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was asked why,
Racism.
it's because those systems are racist. That training is racist. And I'm just like, oh fuck.
Racism sensitivity is racist, guys.
Yeah. It's
So
racist
what
against white
is
people, guys.
anti-bullying classes for kids bullying?
It's yeah. I mean, we take those bullies in there, we beat them up, and be like, "Don't do that. None of this. None of this. None of this." Right? And it's
Yes.
that was I like stopped whatever else I was trying to type at the time because I like have Biden colon skip down to that. And like, fuck, damn it. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Woo, he went there. He went for it, guys.
Yeah.
And Biden was all about, I'm ready to defund the police. And I was super cool with Biden saying Antifa is an idea, not an organization.
Yes.
Yay! He did a thing. Hold on.
Nancy Pelosi class.
Yes. All right, sorry. Yeah. So that little bit was a good bit. Trump mentioned how Obama and Biden left 128 openings for judges, for federal judges.
Yep.
I didn't know that number. I think I've heard it before.
I can dig into that for you. It's massive. For over 400 days, Mitch McConnell and the Republican House and Republican Senate refused to confirm one judge of Obama's for the last 18 plus months of his presidency.
Could they have done anything about it? Was it just Mitch McConnell?
I mean, Mitch McConnell ran it. He's the one who, run around, had people signing this, and he was always the spokesperson for it. And his reason was, even in the beginning, when it just became the very beginning of the last year, nope, we can't let him confirm any, because we have to let the American people speak. And by speaking, I mean voting. And after they voted a new president in, then we can fill all these seats. And the Democrats are, they're known for not having a backbone. They're known for being pushovers. They're known for not liking confrontation. They want to be the party known for reaching across the aisle and, bipartisanship and friendship and American way. But it hasn't been like that for decades and decades. And they need to wake the frack up and
They're
realize
not
that
going to, because aren't they like gearing up to just
then the old ones need to die off peacefully in their sleep, of course. That's my innocent face.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean it. But then we need the freshman group to become the senior group. And the only thing that would stand in the way of that would be a more dictatorish, a more fascist, a more right-wing strongman president, and a 7-2 or more conservative court.
Yeah.
I know it feels like there's not much that we can do, but there really is. There really is. If you don't know your senator's phone numbers, give me a message on Messenger, on Instagram, on Twitter, and say, help me find my state senator's phone number. And there should be 2 of them. And we'll get them. And then you call them. Call them every day. Call them once a week. Call them every 4 days. Set a message and call them in the morning. Call them at lunch and call them at dinner time. Write them letters. You want to help by participating in democracy and help the post office? Write a letter. Everyone needs a stamp. You're helping 2 at one time. I think that's a great idea.
Host a call party on Facebook. Get all your favorite friends to call this number for the next 3 hours.
Yes.
Between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 p.m.
I like 9 p.m. and 12 a.m.
9 p.m. and, well, if they're calling an office, it's not gonna do anything.
No, it's not. However, when they get in the morning, they'll have so much to listen to. That's when you start your noon to 9.
True.
So
I
it
just want
feels
you to
like
turn
they
off your
can
phone line
never
so they
ever
can
catch
get any
up.
other calls.
Yeah.
Only during business hours so they can't get anything done except listen to you.
Yes. Well, they're not. What else are they gonna do?
Not listen to someone else. Anyways, they talked about climate change. Trump says, I want crystal clean water and clean air, and poor forest floor management causes fires.
Yeah.
Also, he talked
He
about
wants
like,
those things for himself and people like him. He
yeah,
never once said, I want clear water for every human on this planet, that I want clean air for everyone on this planet. He said, I want.
right.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about
Sounds
the
like, that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. So,
yeah. He also mentioned the I typed the car stuff in Cali.
oh,
Yeah, like how the
emissions.
yeah the state was working with the private companies to like lower the emissions. He was like, oh, whoa, nope, 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 don't lower the emissions. He's like, can you believe that they were trying to fuck up with other people's crystal clean air? I want it for me. They can't have it because that hurts their, GM's profits and stuff. And yeah, that was something. Biden responded with saying that with his green dream or whatever, he wants 500,000 charging stations all over the new highways that they will be building.
Right.
Which
And Mexico is going to pay for them.
And Mexico's going to pay for it. No, better. We're going to pay Brazil $20 billion to stop tearing down their rainforest. I'm like, the fuck did you just say? Because, like,
well, you got to look into the history of stuff like that. It wouldn't be 12 billion or 20 billion like here's 20 billion. It would be, hey, for the next 15 years, we will help with this 20 billion. You will get this much today to help implementing new jobs. You'll get this in 2 years. You'll get this. That's how we've done things like that forever. So Republicans don't hear it like that. They hear we're going to just write up $20 billion, print it all up and take it over there and hand it to them and say, stop burning the forest. And then just hope that they do. That's not how any of that works.
Right. But that's how he said it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, he's Joe Biden.
He is Joe Biden.
Corn Pop is a bad dude. Remember children playing with his leg hair. There's all kinds of things that Joe Biden says where I'm like, make it stop.
Yeah. Like, so the first part frustrated me because I'm just like, all right, what's all the resources we need to use to build those 500,000 charging stations, and where are we going to go get those resources? Also, building highways is super duper pollutanish to our atmosphere. It's one of the worst things. So cool, good job, man. Like, save that rainforest in another country. And I mean, the Amazon rainforest is super important. We need to do things to preserve it.
Yeah.
We do not need to say it at all, any number. We're gonna offer them $20 billion to do, like, to stop tearing it down, because that's a childish way to say it. And Republicans, which still hold power in this country, are just gonna use that. What he said. and nothing's gonna get done about it. It's just like, my God, man. like, he doesn't. It's not just him. Like, the Democratic Party just doesn't know how to make strong negotiations, and it's frustrating. Moving on.
You see our
Uh,
question
no, I
in
did
the
not.
in the side chat? I'm curious to know what y'all think Bernie would have done and said in the debate against Trump if it were him instead of Biden, given how stupid Trump was being, especially. I think quite a few things, honestly. Um, let's see. I know that when it comes to Trump's tax returns, Bernie would have just, hey, better, swing, and then a home run. I know he would have because that's that's his thing. He would have came with the numbers and the stats in front of him, so no one could be talking any kind of crap. I also know that for appointing judges, Bernie would have, told him that it would be uh, hypocritical. That, and he would have papers in front of him saying, "I have here when you were saying it should never happen in an election year. I have here so and 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 so, all saying that it shouldn't happen." And that was, a half a year to a year before Merrick Garland was to be brought in. This is, weeks. So I think that he would have done that way a lot better. And um, let's see, as far
I,
as the COVID response, Bernie would have nailed it.
yeah, and I mean, most responses he would have nailed. Like, he would have like had a good rundown and been able to sell the Green New Deal
Mm-hmm.
on a national platform. He would have absolutely sold Medicare for all to everyone watching in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and he would not have been interrupted as many times
No.
without interrupting at least that many times back.
Yes.
And I don't think he would have interrupted Trump as much, except when he was interrupting him, because Bernie was really getting good. He was really getting into to the swing of things. Like, Trump puts his finger, nah, 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 and Bernie puts his finger up higher.
Yeah.
You
Or
hold
just
on just a minute there. Hold on. I was talking. You shut up.
yeah. Yep. Or just ignores him. Just like, or would have said, "Chris, can you please moderate?" Which would have made Trump look even dumber because one interlocutor is telling the debate the moderator to please control this other monkey. This monkey doesn't know how to put his pants back on. He's pooping all over the stage. It's embarrassing. Can you control the monkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been a different debate. That's not to say that Trump wouldn't have been able to surprise him or clown him the way that he did. It's in his nature. But I think that it's also in Bernie's nature to just kind of be like, that's so. All right, back to the policies. Yeah, like what's that have to do with the policy asked for? And then I think Bernie would use a lot more of the question when Chris would say, "This is so and so from Bresnik or whatever." He would have remembered that name and
Yeah.
called her or him or them by that name and answered their question instead of Trump answering a question that someone in Mars asked him. Nobody on Earth asked it. So,
Biden mentioned Mr. Floyd. I was, oh fuck, he didn't remember George. Like, the only name as old as fucking Joe.
yeah.
Like, come on, my man.
George of the jungle, strong as he could be.
Yeah,
Oh, watch out
watch
for
out
that
for that
tree.
tree. Uh, um, so yeah, he doesn't remember names. Bernie does. Uh,
Joe
um,
does not.
no.
And Trump couldn't care less too.
No, he couldn't.
Uh-uh.
Biden reminded everyone that he doesn't vouch for the Green New Deal.
Yes,
And
gross.
and Trump was just lying about what it was. Like
Yeah,
he
straw
was telling
man.
all the stuff that
Mhm.
um I can't remember his name. I want to say Neil Gorgeous, but that's not right.
Brett Kavanaugh.
No, not him either. Whoever said that they want to take away your cheeseburgers, take away all of
Yes,
your cheeseburgers.
we want to take away
I don't have I don't
your
know.
airplanes and your airports and your beef and your pigs, and we want to take away your children and turn them into laborists. What? Who doesn't love a burger? And even if you're a vegetarian, there's veggie burgers. Like
Yeah,
they're delicious. Nobody wants to take that
Incognito,
away.
the Impossible Burger, all that
No,
stuff.
maybe not just limiting but completely demolishing factory farming. I'm down with that. I don't know. I'm not a vegan. I'm 100% down with that. I would do my part to make sure that stopped in my lifetime. I think it's disgusting. I love animals. I grew up in a hunting house. None of the animals my dad would hunt and bring home ever suffered in a lifetime like that. They were wild and free and then just weren't. They didn't know anything.
Yeah,
That's the way it should be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Biden said he's going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs with his environmental plans. He calls it the Biden plan. I'm like, okay, cool, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just not exciting. Um, Trump said that the Green New Deal is $100 trillion. And he said the military is stupid bastards, which I did get to see the video of that afterwards. But apart from that,
Uh,
Kyle Kalinske immediately tweeted, look, Biden calling the military stupid bastards may have been the best thing he ever did. Damn it.
I mean,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so
Pissed
there
me.
was that like whole little exchange. It's like, I'm not for the Green New Deal, man. I'm for the Biden plan, man. But the Green New Deal is for it costs $100 trillion, and he said the military are stupid bastards.
He practiced and practiced and practiced the debate against the Green New Deal as his twisted mind saw it. And so Biden obviously has to be for that. So then he went in, told him that's who he was, and then proceeded to demolish that straw man. And Biden's like, I don't even like it's not even on my platform. Have you been to DNC platform at all? I'm your advocate. I've been to the RNC. Like, why haven't you been to mine? He marijuana that's taken off. DNC took off Medicare for all. Um, the Green New Deal, they took off marijuana being taken off as Scheduled One drug. All of the things, the three big things, and maybe one other, I mine can't think of it right now, that would have brought many, over half of the diehard leftists and progressives to Biden because they were still on that platform. And then once he was accepted by the DNC, marijuana came off, Medicare for all came off, education for all came off. It's just gross. It's just gross. And unfortunately, I feel like I just want to punch both a donkey and an elephant, but I love animals too much. So maybe Mitch McConnell dressed as an elephant and Nancy Pelosi dressed as a donkey. I just want to punch them both really, really hard. Like seriously, guys, you guys are the same party. One's just a little bit more understanding and empathetic, and the other one isn't. That's the only difference. Oh, one's pro life and one's pro choice mostly.
Let's be honest here. If
All
Lindsey
right.
Graham, if Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump can be in the same party,
Ugh.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump can be in the same party. Just it's a Venn diagram.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And Purdy's nowhere to be found.
It's a sad, sad world. I'm melting. Oh,
all right.
goodness.
Well, that was fun.
We'll have much, much more fun stuff next week. It was, I had a lot of friends messaging me during the debate. It's 10 minutes in, I can't do anymore. One said it's 6 minutes in, I can't. Like, I want to be able to sleep tonight and have a productive week. I cannot. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I'm into this stuff, so I was going to watch it anyway. But I also needed to be able to, take notes, review my notes, rethink how I feel a few days later, make sure that my views are appropriately written on paper so I can present them this Friday. And I'm like, no, I have to watch it. So now I have 3 new friends who said, good, you'll watch that crap and then tell me about it. Which, is not the definition of getting your research on.
Yeah.
You're getting my research on. How do you know I'm telling the truth? Mm-hmm. Just kidding.
Just so you guys know, I'll kind of leave you guys with this for the night, and I'm trying to find the link for you.
Filling.
Here we are. I haven't got to listen to it all yet. There is a new Weird Al song.
Yes, it's so good.
And it's called "We're All Doomed." And it's got the debate, a lot of it auto-tuned in it. So there you go. After we sign off, you guys go directly over there. Have a good night. There's your bedtime lullaby song, story song. We're all doomed. All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
If you want to join. No, not yet. Don't do that yet. Don't do that yet.
Okay, not yet. Hold on.
Yeah. No, don't say humanist yet. Be heathens for just like two more seconds. If you guys want to join us on our Patreon account, that would be awesome. So a special thank you to Smitty, to Vibrantly Brantley, to Chat, to who else do we have on there that I'm forgetting right now? Carlos and his lady just joined a couple weeks ago, and I forget now.
Casey Atheist Randy. Yes. There's a lot of people in chat that came tonight, and that's awesome.
Yes, and always thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing videos, joining the chat. We love seeing you guys. Yes. So thank you for joining us on another wonderful Friday night. And I was ready for you, and you're blowing smoke at your nose. Damn it, Christy.
I'm a dragon. Stay humanist, for God's sake, guys. How else are you supposed to have so much fun?